We saw kind of a nightmare story happen this week to
Oh, this is a
author.
really uplifting episode,
I
isn't
know,
it?
right? Yeah. This is a really good start to Monday. Author Jane Friedman woke up to a bit of a nightmare this week. So she has written multiple books and has been a researcher, academic professor involved in the publishing industry for a very long time. She was named actually Publishing Commentator of the Year last year. And the nightmare was this: a reader emailed her about her new book that just hit Amazon. Now, the nightmare was not due to a reader giving her a terrible review or saying her book sucked. It was a nightmare because Friedman hadn't written a new book at all. She quickly discovered that half a dozen books had been published under her name that she didn't write, and they were all AI generated. Now, thankfully, these fake titles have been removed from Amazon since this story broke, but Friedman documented in multiple areas and interviews and tweets that Amazon wasn't exactly very helpful. They actually refused her request initially to remove these fake titles from the website. She couldn't provide any trademark registration number associated with her name. So she had to go back and forth with them quite a bit. And then it sounds like they actually just removed it because of the negative press happening around this story, given that Friedman has a pretty big kind of footprint in the industry. One quote from some of the reporting from the Daily Beast jumped out to me, where Justin Hughes, who is intellectual property law professor at Loyola, said, "What we are seeing is, for authors, the prose equivalent of deep fakes." Now, Paul, you're an author several times over, and we've covered AI issues in publishing before on this podcast. How big an issue is this about to be for authors, do you think?
This is a multi-layer issue. So, I mean, there is first thing that jumps to me is the Amazon issue that they enable
Mm,
this kind of stuff. Like
mm,
that's not an AI thing. That is a business model thing where it just seems kind of crazy to me that they're enabling this. And I can sympathize with that helpless feeling of trying to reach out to customer support saying, like, there's books under my name that don't exist and them not like replying or
mm,
doing anything about it. So there's that side, which is just a business issue. The side of being able to create these is absolutely a concern. We've talked about this before with what was the GPT author or whatever
yep.
they put out, where you're gonna be able to, just take books you like and say, write me more like this, or
Hmm.
create it. And it's going to be doable. It's going to be doable in music. It's going to be doable in art. It's going to be doable in text. Anything you want to create, you're going to be able to create. And legal or not, like what we know is people find ways to do this stuff. So I don't know that you can stop this from happening, like people creating versions of someone's original works or variations or new additions. It becomes really much more of the laws and regulations to protect it from spreading.
Mm.
I don't know that you can regulate out this. Like this again, it goes back to the bad actor thing. Like people are going to do this stuff. The models will be out there. They'll be open source. They'll be available on legitimate sites and illegitimate sites, and there's really no turning back to this. We've opened Pandora's box when it comes to the be able to create this stuff. And yeah, from deep fakes videos to emulating people's voices to writing in people's tones and styles, like this is what we've said all along around laws and regulations and these existential threat concerns to humanity. Like I get the long-term fears. Listen to the Dario thing, you understand those long-term fears even more, but this is the reality. Like, the
Mm.
right now is political campaigns are gonna be affected by this stuff. You have people's intellectual property being infringed upon. You have people's ability to make a living and, like, do what they do as artists, as creators. It's all with today's tech. Like, this isn't even we need GPT-5 to
Yeah.
do this. Like, this is right here, right now. We could stop the acceleration of AI innovation and technological advancements right now, and we would still have to deal with these problems at scale.
Mm.
And that's the stuff that to me is just so much more important to be focusing on, and the stuff that's going to affect the average marketer, business leader, author, creator. Like this is the stuff you're going to have to really be aware of in the very near future. Hopefully, it doesn't affect you, but you need to know it's out there.
So it sounds like right now, an individual author can't really do much to protect themselves from this or better enforce their rights. I think Jane Friedman actually even tweeted, like, I have no idea what I would have even done if I didn't have a big platform to complain about this. Essentially, she has hundreds of thousands of Twitter followers, well known in the industry. She's like, I am worried for people that have no voice like that. Is that correct? I mean, as
Yeah, I
of
mean, the
today,
only
at
thing that
least?
comes to mind for me is to monitor mentions of your name online. So
Yeah.
set up alerts so you're aware of stuff. I mean, we've seen plenty of stuff where people steal our content, our
Yeah.
courses, things like that. And I usually just take it, forward it to our IP attorney. And then you get a cease and desist letter sent. Now, everybody doesn't have that ability, but I mean, it's like a whack-a-mole game, though.
Mhm.
Like, the bigger you get, the higher profile, the bigger your audience, people are gonna take your stuff all the time because they're lazy and they just wanna make quick dollars. That's human nature. Like, that's not AI didn't make that. That
Right.
AI just makes it easier to do and faster. But, I mean, people have always dealt with this stuff. So, yeah, again, like, the only thing I can think of is have alerts set up and get an IP attorney.
So it
Like,
sounds like Amazon needs to step up in this particular
yeah, and
scenario as well. The platforms need to start regulating better some of these issues, I would think.
yeah, and that might be the bigger play is, there needs to be pressure on the businesses like Amazon that are enabling
Yeah.
this. So it's not able to spread as quickly, or they don't have the distribution channels for the content.
All right, let's jump into a bunch of rapid fire topics. So, first up, OpenAI just launched a web crawler called GPT Bot that crawls public web pages in order to train OpenAI's models. OpenAI says that GPT Bot's crawling is filtered to, quote, remove sources that require paywall access, are known to gather personally identifiable information, or have text that violates our policies. Somewhat comfortingly, OpenAI said that website operators, if they want, can also disallow the crawler by blocking its IP address or using their site's robots.txt file. Now, Paul, as we look at this, should companies or content creators be thinking about restricting access to OpenAI's web crawler? Should they not? What should I be thinking about here?
A really tough one. I mean, definitely should be thinking about it, having conversations around it, but it's a really hard decision to make. Like, you've put all that content out there. The public benefit is there. The benefit to you is organic traffic, search traffic. The question is, what does search look like in the future? How are
Mm,
these chatbots going to infuse citations and links? If you turn off access and your content just isn't surfaced anymore, your links aren't going to be surfaced in whatever the future interface looks like. So I just don't know that we know enough information. I get why brands would want to do it and people are kind of frustrated.
yeah,
But at the same time, I don't know enough to advise anyone to say, don't let OpenAI crawl your site. Like, I don't have a clue what it looks like 12 months from now.
right.
So I would say my best advice at the moment is to research it, to pay attention to it, to get the people in your organization who should be involved in this conversation involved in it, and to stay educated on what's happening so that when the time comes to make a decision, you can make the most educated decision possible.